When I was 8 years old, I had a recurrent nightmare about something lurking under my bed. I know it sounds cliché, the kind of fear everyone has as a child, but mine felt real. My parents dismissed it as overactive imagination, yet even now, 30 years later, I still get shivers thinking about it. It started on a crisp autumn night. The wind howled outside, leaves scraping against my bedroom window like skeletal fingers. I remember it vividly because it was the night my mom tucked me into bed with an extra blanket, saying the chill would bite if I didn't stay warm. I had my favorite teddy bear, Mr. Fuzzles, clutched tightly in my arms. As I drifted off to sleep, the familiar hum of the radiator and the soft creaks of the house were comforting. But then around midnight, I woke with a start. The room was dark, save for the sliver of moonlight filtering through the curtains. I was paralyzed by a sudden, inexplicable sense of dread. At first I thought it was just another bad dream, but then I heard it, a faint scratching sound like nails dragging across wood. It was coming from under the bed. I lay still, my heart pounding in my chest, straining to hear more. The sound grew louder, more insistent. My breath hitched as I slowly turned my head to look down. The floor was shrouded in darkness, but the scratching continued, relentless and deliberate. I wanted to scream, to call out for my parents, but fear held my voice captive. Summoning all my courage, I leaned over the edge of the bed and peered into the abyss below. The darkness seemed to pulse, a living entity, and within it, 2 pinpricks of red light glowed ominously. My breath caught in my throat as those eyes met mine. They were filled with malice, a predatory gleam that made my blood run cold. I snapped back up, pulling the covers over my head, as if the thin fabric could shield me from whatever horror lay beneath. The scratching stopped abruptly, replaced by an eerie silence. I listened, every muscle tense, but the room was deathly still. After what felt like an eternity, exhaustion took over, and I fell into a fitful sleep. The next morning I tried to convince myself it was just a nightmare, but the unease lingered, a dark cloud that wouldn't dissipate. I told my parents, but they dismissed it as childish imagination. My dad even lifted the bed to show me there was nothing there but dust bunnies and old toys. But I knew better. That night, I hesitated before climbing into bed. I left the light on and checked under the bed myself, seeing nothing but shadows. Feeling foolish yet slightly reassured, I finally lay down and closed my eyes. Sleep was elusive, my mind replaying the events of the previous night. Around midnight, I woke again. The room was silent, the only sound my own breathing. For a moment I thought I was safe, but then the scratching started once more. This time, it was accompanied by a low, guttural growl. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing it to stop, but the sounds grew louder, more insistent. I felt a shift in the mattress, as if something was crawling up from underneath. I held my breath, tears streaming down my face. Then, I heard a whisper, a voice so cold and menacing it seemed to freeze the air around me. "Come play with me." My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in my ears like a drum. I was too terrified to move, to even breathe. The voice was closer now, a sinister hiss in the darkness. "Come play with me." I couldn't take it anymore. I bolted out of bed and ran to my parents' room, tears streaming down my face. They woke with a start, alarmed by my sudden appearance. Between sobs, I told them about the scratching, the growling, the whisper. My dad sighed, exhausted, but he led me back to my room. He checked under the bed again, lifting it higher this time to show me there was nothing there. "See, sweetheart, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just your imagination." But I knew it wasn't. I could still feel the malevolent presence lurking just out of sight. I spent the rest of the night in my parents' bed, but sleep didn't come easily. The nightmares continued, each one more vivid and terrifying than the last. The thing under the bed grew bolder, its whispers more demanding. "Come play with me. I'm waiting." One night I couldn't take it anymore. Determined to end the torment, I decided to confront whatever was under my bed. Armed with a flashlight, I waited until the scratching started again. My hands trembled as I clicked the light on and leaned over the edge. The beam pierced the darkness, revealing the thing that had haunted my nights. It was hideous, a twisted parody of a human with long skeletal limbs and a face twisted in a permanent snarl. Its eyes glowed with that same malevolent red light, and its mouth curved into a grotesque grin. "Come play with me," it hissed, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. I screamed, dropping the flashlight and scrambling back. My parents rushed in, turning on the lights and finding me in a hysterical state. They saw the flashlight still on, illuminating the empty space under the bed. They tried to console me, but I could see the worry in their eyes. The next day, my dad bought a new bed, one that sat flush against the floor. He hoped it would ease my fears, but it did little to comfort me. The nightmares persisted, the thing under the bed finding new ways to torment me. It whispered from the shadows, its voice echoing in my mind. Years passed, and eventually, the nightmares faded. I grew up, moved away, and tried to forget. But even now, as an adult, I sometimes wake in the middle of the night, heart pounding, certain I can hear the faint scratching under the bed. I never look. I don't dare. And when my own child wakes in the middle of the night, terrified of the monster under their bed, I don't dismiss their fears. I check thoroughly, leaving no shadow unexplored, and I stay with them until they fall asleep. Because I know the thing under the bed is real, and it's always waiting, always hungry for a new playmate.
Thank you for watching Midnight Knocks. If you enjoyed our horror stories, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more spine-chilling tales. Don't forget to check out our other videos for more eerie adventures. Until next time, stay spooky.